My naive and sweet wife has been acting strangely lately. It's almost as if she knows she's just a tragic supporting character, and she's decided to give up on everything. When the hero came to plead with her, she said, "Just pretend I'm dead. After all, everyone dies eventually." When the heroine came to find her, she replied, "Too much air conditioning makes you sick, and meddling in too many affairs will kill you." The only thing she's been resolute about is refusing to divorce me. Yes, I've changed my mind. I'm done pretending. I'm laying my cards on the table. I won't divorce you. The hero came to borrow money from her again. As soon as he stepped out of the room, I heard my wife's impatient voice. "Every time you're broke, you come to me. What, don't you have a family of your own?" Xavier's voice sounded like he was about to cry. "This time it's different. Gabriel hurt someone, and the other party said if we don't come up with the money, they'll take him to the station. Even if they take him to the crematorium, it's none of my business," she replied. But before she could finish, Percy interrupted. "I'll lend you the money, after you pay back the $20,000 you borrowed before." Xavier sounded incredulous. "You're so rich, and you're still asking me to repay the $20,000. Oh wow, you've got such thick skin. I bet if I slapped you twice, you wouldn't even fight back," Percy said. Xavier was silent for a long moment, and then I heard the sound of the door slamming shut. Lily snorted coldly. "Trick me once, shame on you. Trick me twice, you must be dreaming." As she turned around, her eyes met mine. In the blink of an eye, the woman who had been as fierce as a Rottweiler suddenly smiled at me like a goofy husky. "Honey, I just single-handedly protected our shared assets. Tell me, am I amazing or what?" I was holding the divorce papers. The words I had planned to say stuck in my throat. After a long pause, I managed to squeeze out, "Amazing. I'm new here. I just transmigrated into this novel last month. My wife Lily is the biggest victim in the entire story. No, correction, she's the tragic supporting character nicknamed Generous. This novel is a feel-good romance where the male lead, Xavier, is a gentle and caring sweetheart, and the female lead, Sophie, is a rebellious troublemaker. In the early stages of the story, the heroine smokes, fights, and acts out in all sorts of ways, while the hero sticks by her side, supporting her unconditionally, until he successfully guides her to change her ways and become a powerful CEO. And my wife? She's the story's financial savior. Despite her privileged background as the princess, the author decided to make her a hopeless romantic. Every time the heroine gets into trouble, the hero comes to borrow money from Lily. She always pays, and he always gets the credit for being the good guy. She's been secretly in love with him for years, but in the end, she's still just the backup. And that's not all. When the heroine starts her entrepreneurial journey, it's Lily who provides the angel investment at Xavier's request. Later, when the heroine achieves great success, she turns around and blames Lily for meddling and starts resenting her. The story ends with the heroine swallowing up Lily's company, leaving her bankrupt and heartbroken. Meanwhile, the hero and heroine live happily ever after, complete with triplets. As for me, I'm Lily's contract husband. Back then, our gentle hero figured out Lily's feelings for him and apologized, saying he only saw her as a sister. He wanted to distance himself from her. In order to put his mind at ease and stay close to him, Lily hastily married me as part of a fake marriage arrangement. Sure enough, Xavier believed it. He truly thought Lily didn't like him anymore and resumed his relationship with her. When I transmigrated here, the contract was about to expire. According to the original plot, I was supposed to take the money and leave, and the story would move on without me. After all, I'm just a sidekick who only appears in 3 chapters of this several million-word novel. But what I didn't expect was that just as I was preparing for the divorce, Lily suddenly woke up. She seems to have realized she's a tragic supporting character and decided to start slacking off. She stopped lending money and refuses to get divorced. The once aloof and distant little princess has even started letting loose and cursing. That night, just as I was about to fall asleep, the bedroom door suddenly swung open. Lily stood at the doorway, hugging a small pillow, looking pitiful. "Honey, I can't sleep." Lily and I have always slept in separate beds. I had no idea what kind of stunt she was pulling this time. I tested her with a suggestion. "Can't sleep? Why don't you go for a run?" Without hesitation, Lily replied, "But I don't want to go for a run. I want to run circles in your heart." That line left me completely speechless. Ignoring my dumbfounded expression, Lily climbed into my bed with her pillow. "You're not seriously planning to sleep here, are you?" I asked, stunned. Lily blinked her innocent eyes. "You're not seriously planning to kick me out, are you? Shouldn't I kick her out? We're a fake couple after all." But before I could respond, Lily pulled a small red booklet from her pajama pocket and flashed it in front of me. "Who says? I'm legal." Then she lay down beside me and closed her eyes tightly. All right, I'm already asleep. As I lay there, utterly baffled by Lily's sudden change in behavior, I couldn't help but think back to the scene earlier that morning when she refused Xavier's request for money. Wait a minute. Could it be that Lily is refusing to divorce me because she doesn't want to pay me the breakup fee? I'm just a sidekick, and the original novel didn't bother to waste words on my interactions with Lily. But since transmigrating, I've inherited the original character's memories. The original me and Lily were college classmates, and Percy had always harbored a crush on this senior. That's why when Lily proposed the fake marriage, he agreed without hesitation. Percy agreed without hesitation. At that time, the man naively dreamed of turning the fake into reality. However, the year that followed brought only endless emotional neglect and his wife's unrelenting support for another man. Although it now seemed like Lily had awakened to some new self-awareness, who could say if this wasn't just another tactic to attract the hero? After all, the thought processes of those romance novel authors were notoriously hard to predict. With that in mind, I felt it was best to file for divorce quickly and completely detach myself from all the key characters in the original story. Just as I was struggling to find an opportunity to end the contract marriage, I ran into Xavier again. That evening, after work, Xavier was squatting at the entrance of my apartment. He was sitting half-slouched on the stairs, looking pitiful and forlorn. Hearing footsteps, Xavier's voice dropped into a low tone. "Little Lily, you're finally back." But before he could finish, he realized it wasn't her. His tone instantly shifted back to normal. "What are you doing here?" The speed at which his expression changed could rival Lily's. I rolled my eyes. "You're squatting at my doorway and asking me why I'm here. If you've lost your way because your brain shriveled, I'd be more than happy to call the police for you. This isn't your home. It's Lily's," he said as he stood up, inexplicably exuding some sense of superiority. "Did you say something to Lily? Is that why she won't lend me money? Her money is earned through her hard work. What right do you, a freeloader, have to point fingers at me?" Well, this was a first. Never in my life had someone stood there and accused me like this. "Oh, so you do know that all that money Lily works so hard to earn has nothing to do with you," I said with a sneer, fully letting myself go since Lily wasn't around. "I wanted to call you out yesterday, but I held back. Yet here you are today, actively seeking me out. Even monkeys know to push a wheelbarrow when they want bananas, but you just show up with a thick face and an open mouth. What, do you think your face is more valuable than a monkey's? Still so young, and instead of working, you're already scheming to freeload and get something for nothing. And calling her Little Lily all the time. Does your mom know you go around claiming sisters? How many hats have you put on your dad's head, huh? Can you even count? What? If you can't even string a sentence together, just go home, learn how to speak properly, and then come back to beg for money." As I finished, the elevator doors opened and out stepped Lily. Xavier, as if seeing a savior, immediately exclaimed, "Little Lily, look at your amazing husband." I turned my head and met Lily's cryptic gaze. Who knew how much of the earlier exchange she had overheard? My heart sank. The original Percy was cold, distant, and terrible at expressing himself. That was one of the main reasons Lily had chosen him as her contract husband. Afraid of breaking character, I had been cautious with my words and actions ever since I arrived, careful not to let her notice anything off. Today it seemed I had completely blown it, but I quickly calmed myself. It didn't matter. I didn't want to keep living like this anyway. Whatever happens, happens. What I didn't expect was Lily's immediate sarcasm. What am I, some kind of saint? I work myself to death all day, only to come home and play judge for you two? How much overtime pay are you planning to give me for this? Then she pulled me behind her and asked gently, "You weren't bullied, were you?" Her words were directed at Xavier, but her concern was clearly for me. Xavier broke down even more at this. "Lily, he insulted me. Insulted you. At most, my husband was just stating facts." With that, she pulled out her phone. "Someone's out here demanding money at my door. My husband is so scared he's about to cry." What are you security guys even doing? Get someone over here and remove him immediately. Lily's expression darkened. I'm a very petty person. If you ever harass my family again, don't blame me for being ruthless. That night, back at home, I had thought Lily might question me about the incident or become suspicious of my sudden change in behavior. But as it turned out, I was overthinking. Not only did Lily not bring it up, but she even became more attentive toward me. Bright and early the next morning, just as I started work, a message from her appeared on my phone. Honey, why haven't you texted me yet? Do I come across as illiterate or something? Tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace. If you've got so much time, why not leave the work for tomorrow? When's your shift over? How about I pick you up and take you on a date? Let's call it a day already. A CEO slacking off so openly, is that even allowed? Judging by her current work ethic, Lily didn't need the heroine to bring her company down. She was more than capable of doing it herself. Placing my phone face down on the desk, I ignored her completely. The original Percy was a journalist for a business magazine, and I had conveniently studied journalism in college, so the job was a decent fit. Just as I opened my laptop to start writing, the editor-in-chief walked in with someone. Put your work on hold for now. Let me introduce you to our new intern. Looking up, I was stunned to see Xavier. It was only then that I remembered Xavier, the warm and gentle ray of sunshine, was quite the workaholic in the early stages of the novel. The plot mentioned that Lily, feeling sorry for his struggles, had pulled some strings to get him a job at a magazine. Later, she even used her connections to secure exclusive interviews with major business tycoons for him. With Lily's backing, Xavier quickly established himself in the industry, rising from an errand boy to the editor-in-chief of a top magazine. But I hadn't realized Xavier and the original Percy worked at the same place. Thinking about it now, Lily was truly something else. Arranging for the white Moonlight to work at the same company as my husband was already bad enough, but then giving all the resources to her? Damn, I wanted a divorce even more. Xavier, true to his role as the hero, showed up and immediately started running errands for everyone and treating the office to bubble tea. Before long, he'd won everyone's favor in the office. Originally, I didn't want to pay him any attention, but then he walked over to my desk, bubble tea in hand. Percy, I'm here to apologize, he said, loud enough for the entire office to hear. Someone piped up, curious, wait, you two know each other? Before I could respond, Xavier nodded. Percy's wife is my sister. I grew up with her. My good friend was sick recently, and my sister wanted to lend me some money to help out. Percy found out and was upset, so we had a bit of a disagreement. Then he turned to me. I'm sorry, I was too anxious that day. My friend needed the money for surgery, so don't worry, I'll figure out the money on my own. I promise I won't bother you or your wife again. What a clever twist of the story, shifting the blame and twisting the facts. The way my colleagues looked at me instantly changed. One of them said to Xavier, you just graduated. How much money could you possibly have? Everyone's got emergencies. People these days are just too realistic, jumping at opportunities but avoiding any trouble. What's your friend sick with? How much more do they need? Maybe we can pitch in to help. The original Percy was a pushover, often staying late to help others with work but never getting any gratitude in return. Instead, they mocked him behind his back. Listening to their sarcastic remarks, I slammed my mouse on the desk. His friend isn't sick, I said with a cold laugh. He got into a brawl, left someone disabled, and now owes damages. It's not much, just tens of thousands of dollars. The room fell silent. You all like playing the saint, don't you? Fine, why not help him fill the $20,000 gap he conned out of my wife? That way I won't have to waste money suing him. The office was dead silent, save for the soft buzz of my phone vibrating. The notifications were all from Lily. I can hold back hunger and thirst, but I can't hold back missing you. Staring at the one-sided messages, I finally understood what people meant by silent love speaks the loudest. Ignoring me was fine, apparently. My loneliness was enough to sustain both of us. But I wasn't in the mood for her cringeworthy lines, so I replied directly, Your wonderful brother just started at my workplace. Since our marriage is fake, there's no property dispute. The contract term is up, so let's find time to finalize the divorce. Almost immediately she replied, I'm very busy, no time. The next message followed right after. I'm off work now. I'll pick you up immediately. Wait for me. I was floored. Just look at these two messages. Don't they contradict each other? On the way home, Lily was like a guilty puppy, not daring to make a sound. It wasn't until we stepped inside that she finally spoke up. About the job situation, it was an accident. I'll call your editor right now to have him fired. No need for that trouble. After the divorce, I'll resign too. I'm not getting a divorce. Lily suddenly raised her voice, startling me. Why not? The contract may have stated 1 year, but there was an addendum. If either of us fell in love, the contract would automatically be voided. You suggested that part, remember? Her words jogged my memory. The original Percy had indeed proposed that clause, holding on to some naive hope for the marriage. I was about to argue when something clicked. Wait, are you saying you've fallen in love with me? At that, Lily actually started fidgeting, her ears turning a light shade of red. Haven't I made it obvious? I thought back to her recent behavior. It was indeed pretty obvious, but the problem was I never dared to interpret it that way. What kind of supporting character falls for the hero instead of the sidekick? I was so stunned I spun in circles. No, you're not supposed to like me. Why? She shrugged. Why not? Feelings are feelings. But I'm just a filler character. Why would you fall for me? Because I'm a hopeless romantic, okay? Why overanalyze it? She sounded exasperated, and with that declaration we both fell silent. Wait, I said cautiously, picking up on something she'd let slip. You're a hopeless romantic, and you're aware of it. You know something, don't you? I'm just an NPC in a novel, and you're not the real Percy, she admitted, meeting my gaze. Is that what you wanted to ask? All right, so you know everything, I said, stunned. When did you figure it out? Not too long ago, probably after you showed up. Lily scratched her head. Funny enough, I have you to thank for it. Me? When? Remember that time I had a fever? You sat next to me and called me an idiot. I heard everything. I thought back and vaguely remembered. It was when I'd first arrived in this world. Lily had taken Xavier to the hospital in the pouring rain and came back with such a high fever she was unconscious for an entire night. I didn't want her dying in the house and bringing bad luck, so I stayed up to watch over her. Thinking she couldn't hear me, I'd vented all my frustrations aloud. Who would have thought she'd heard every word? So my whole cover was blown ages ago. All that effort pretending was for nothing. Lily bit her lip, looking conflicted. Well, your rant woke me up. Ever since then, I couldn't help but pay attention to you. That's when I noticed how different you were from the original Percy. Slowly but surely, I just wanted to keep looking at you. By the time I realized it, my hopeless romantic tendencies seemed to have shifted onto you. Who knew such things could transfer? She glanced at me but still didn't speak, her expression a mix of frustration and exasperation. Well, I'd said everything I needed to say. Divorce? Out of the question. At the very least, I'd wait until you gave me a chance to pursue you. No buts about it. That's settled then. My ears are officially clocking out. La, I can't hear you. Whatever you're saying, I can't hear it. Lily might think I'm a fool for giving in eventually, but let's be honest. Someone like Lily, a gorgeous, wealthy heiress, would have been completely out of my league back in my original world. I'm not stupid. There's no point in pushing away someone so exceptional. Honestly, having a partner who's head over heels for you is kind of amazing. Forget just driving me around. She's got me covered with breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, perfume, necklaces, roses, you name it, she's thought of it. Eventually, though, I had to put my foot down and tell her to stop, or our office would have turned into a flower shop. Sure, people on the surface envied our loving marriage, but behind my back they were whispering things like, she wasn't like this before, suddenly showing off their love all the time. Something's fishy. No man showers affection with no reason. The same goes for women. I bet she did something to wrong Percy, and he's just too smitten to notice. Lily's unique status, combined with the fact that our marriage was a contractual one, meant that my colleagues only knew I was married to someone with decent qualifications. They had no idea that my wife was actually the little princess of the elite social circle. The only person who knew her true identity was Xavier, but he of all people wouldn't go around bragging about something that would overshadow him. One day, while overhearing some coworkers gossiping quietly, Xavier casually leaned in and asked, "So you're saying Percy's wife never used to give him gifts before?" Not at all. At first, we didn't even know he was married. We only found out from his employee records. So you're saying all this lovey-dovey stuff started after I arrived? The others hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Seems like it. A polite smile crept onto Xavier's face. Thanks, got it. Standing behind the door, I heard every word of their conversation. My mouth twitched at Xavier's expression. Don't tell me this guy actually believes Lily's treating me well just to provoke or attract his attention. Turns out our hero really is that self-assured. That day, we had a meeting at the office. The editor-in-chief proposed adding a new section to the magazine to increase its influence in the industry. The section would focus on exclusive interviews with business tycoons, alongside market trend analysis. The problem was that most of the big names had already been interviewed to death, and there wasn't much fresh material to dig up. Since the first issue would determine the section's future, everyone was brainstorming potential candidates. Out of nowhere, Xavier raised his hand. "Editor, what about Lily?" The editor's eyes lit up, but then quickly dimmed. Lily definitely has the clout, and as a rare female entrepreneur, she'd be perfect. The problem is she's never accepted any interviews. I doubt we could get her to agree. Xavier glanced at me with a knowing smirk. "What about Percy?" Everyone turned to look at me, clearly puzzled as to why I was suddenly being brought into this. I kept my smile polite. "Me? I don't think I'm qualified for that." Xavier's lips curved ever so slightly upward. "Then let me give it a shot, editor. If I manage to secure an interview with Percy, can I get a permanent position here?" Before the editor could respond, I chuckled lightly. "If getting the interview earns you a permanent role, does failing to get it mean you'll pack up and leave?" My coworkers immediately jumped to Xavier's defense. "Percy, that's harsh. Xavier must already have a plan or he wouldn't have brought it up. Why are you trying to discourage him?" I twirled my pen and smiled. "Relax, I'm just joking. Why so serious? You all make plenty of jokes about me behind my back. Do I take them seriously?" Their faces darkened, and just as one of them tried to explain, I snapped my notebook shut. "Fine. Whoever can secure an interview, go for it. Let's see what you've got." In truth, this new section was a big deal not just for Xavier, but for me as well. If I remembered correctly, this was a pivotal moment not only for the magazine, but also for the hero's career. In the original story, Xavier, still an intern at the time, volunteered for this very task during a meeting. Thanks to his special connection with Lily, he landed the interview effortlessly. Not only did Lily personally revise his article, but the piece also became his breakthrough, earning him a permanent position and eventually making him the head of the section. The magazine itself skyrocketed in popularity, eventually becoming the industry leader in business analysis, and even launching a TV series based on the column. Such a golden opportunity was too good to pass up. Unlike Xavier, though, Lily wasn't my first choice. I had to admit Xavier was quick on his feet. That very evening, Lily received a call from him. At the time, she was outside my bedroom door, clutching a small pillow and trying to negotiate her way in. "We're legally married. Why can't I sleep in your room? I'm going to file a complaint with the women's rights organization." "Really? Women's rights? Look at you go," I shot back. Ever since Lily had used the excuse of insomnia to sneak into my bed that one time, she'd completely abandoned our separation agreement. Unilaterally barging into someone's life? I refuse. "If I remember correctly, aren't you still in the stage of pursuing me?" "That's not a contradiction. I'm just planning to make you fall for me over time. It's all part of my strategy." "Ha! Don't think I can't tell you're making a pun here." As we argued, Lily's phone rang. The moment she saw the caller ID, her brows furrowed tightly into a knot. Just by looking at her expression, I could guess who it was. "You should answer it. Today, your charming admirer made a bold promise to the editor-in-chief that he'd secure an exclusive interview with you. I've already told you we should have fired him ages ago, but you insisted on keeping him around. Now look at all the trouble it's caused." Lily rambled on before suddenly realizing something. "An interview? What interview?" So I briefly recapped the events of the day. Lily wasn't pleased. "And why did you say you weren't capable of doing it?" "I'll have my assistant schedule a time for tomorrow. You can come to my office and we'll get this interview done." "Is that really the point?" I hesitated for a moment before saying, "Actually, I wasn't planning to interview you." Lily went silent. Hugging a pillow, she quietly left the room. She was upset because for this particular interview, my first choice wasn't her. Instead, I had chosen Gregory, a veteran businessman from the early days of the industry. He was one of the pioneers who ventured into the stock market, spurring economic growth through tangible enterprises. Now in his 70s, securing an interview with him was no small feat. But whether for work or personal reasons, I was determined to meet this respected figure. That night, for the first time ever, Lily and I slept in separate rooms. Although she still drove me to work the next morning as usual, she didn't tease me all day. When she picked me up after work, she wore a pout so obvious it was impossible to miss. I couldn't help but laugh. Poking her shoulder, I teased, "Weren't you the one who said you wouldn't do interviews?" "That's for other people's interviews." "Am I other people? My first exclusive interview should have been reserved for you, and yet you didn't even care to ask. Now my heart is so broken it's beyond repair. What are you even talking about?" I chuckled. "Anyway, do you have any detailed information about Grandpa Greg? Online resources are pretty limited, and if we want him to agree, we need to be thoroughly prepared." Lily's eyes widened. "Not only are you refusing to interview me, but now you want me to help you connect with him." I cleared my throat. "Honey, please." The moment I called her honey, Lily, who had been fuming, instantly calmed down. With an expressionless face and eyes fixed straight ahead, she said firmly, "Say it again." "Honey," I repeated obediently. Her ears turned red. "He's mostly retired from the industry now, but I'll see what I can find out for you. That's all I need," I said gratefully. A few days later, Lily handed me a file. "He's a very private man, so this is all I could gather for now." I treated the file like a treasure and was about to walk away when Lily pulled me back again. "Call me honey, and I'll tell you some good news." I complied without hesitation. "Honey." Lily's lips curled into a sly smile. "Though the file is incomplete, your amazing wife has already pulled some strings and secured an opportunity for you to have dinner with Grandpa Greg. However, it's a private occasion, so I can't take you with me. I can pass along some materials on your behalf, though. If he's interested, he'll reach out to you." This was a golden opportunity. My heart pounded as I hugged Lily and kissed her cheek. Her eyes darkened slightly, and with a finger she poked my chest. "A simple thank you won't cut it." The dinner was scheduled for the weekend. But even by the day before, I still couldn't come up with a convincing reason for Grandpa Greg to agree to the interview. My career barely spanned 3 years, and I had no notable achievements in the industry. Why would someone who once turned down Time magazine bother with us? Seeing me distressed, Lily wrapped her arms around me. "If all else fails, your wife can step in. How is it that a stunning beauty like me loses out to an aging businessman?" "Well, in terms of status, he does outrank you," I joked. That night, I pored over the file Lily had given me once again, hoping for inspiration. Suddenly, a name leapt out at me, Gregory's grandson, Sean Gregory. The name sounded familiar. Where had I heard it before? Then it hit me. He was the young man who was hospitalized after being assaulted by Sophie, the heroine. That incident had left a deep impression on me when I read the novel. It was one of the most dramatic moments in the first half of the story. Sophie, a rebellious street fighter, had injured a young man who was merely trying to break up a fight. Normally, such incidents were easily settled with money. However, Sean's family background was powerful, and they didn't want compensation. They wanted Sophie behind bars. This terrified her. With Ethan's help, she fled to his family home. Later, Ethan turned to Lily for assistance. It was Lily who pulled strings and resolved the matter. Yet, as always, once the dust settled, Lily's contributions were forgotten. Ethan and Sophie's bond grew stronger, and Sophie turned her life around, eventually starting her own business. Judging by the timeline, the assault must have happened recently. Ethan's recent request for money from Lily was likely related to this. Initially, they must have thought money would fix everything. Since Ethan hadn't mentioned Sophie lately, he'd probably already hidden her away. With these thoughts swirling in my mind, I quickly scribbled down an address. I stuck a sticky note on top of the series of interview questions I had prepared, reminding Lily to make sure Grandpa Greg brought that person to justice. What kind of healing romance was this? If even a bad person could be redeemed by love, what was the point of the law? Such people needed to feel the full force of justice so they could understand what fairness truly meant. Sure enough, the next day I received a call directly from Grandpa Greg himself. "The person has been caught. I had kept this matter under wraps. How did you find out?" I replied mysteriously. "If you really want to know, it's not hard to figure out." "Fine. That's the dedication of a true journalist. Since you've helped me this time, I'll do you a favor in return." My exclusive interview with the business tycoon shook the entire magazine office like a thunderclap. The editor-in-chief was grinning from ear to ear. "This is why our senior journalists are so reliable and composed," he said. "Unlike some of the younger crowd who keep trying to run before they can even walk. They made such bold claims during the meeting, and now it's just a joke." Xavier sat silently, his head hanging low. To be fair, he had turned into a laughingstock. From start to finish, Lily hadn't even picked up his calls, let alone agreed to his interview. But I didn't kick him while he was down. After the meeting, when I walked out, Xavier cornered me by the door. "Don't get cocky. Lily didn't agree to your interview either. The person she loves has always been me. If I hadn't rejected her confession back then, she wouldn't have married you just to avoid suspicion." I fell silent for a moment, processing his words. So he had known all along and had been pretending to be clueless, comfortably soaking up Lily's attention. I gave Xavier a sarcastic thumbs up. "You truly have a unique way of being shameless. Bold, unapologetic, and utterly one of a kind." Lily played a crucial role in convincing Grandpa Greg to come out of retirement for the interview. She even had the audacity to ask me for a ton of perks in return. One night, as I was just drifting off to sleep, her phone rang, jolting me awake. Annoyed, I pulled Lily closer as she groggily answered the call. A man's sobbing voice came through the speaker in the dead of night, making my skin crawl. "This is the bar. Is Xavier your friend? He's drunk and refusing to leave. He's been crying and calling your name non-stop. We're about to close, so could you please come pick him up?" Xavier's anguished cries were audible in the background. "Lily, do you really not want me anymore? Have you truly abandoned your Xavier?" It sounded like a scene straight out of a dramatic play. Lily, clearly irritated, muttered, "If he's missing, call the police. If he's hurt, call an ambulance. Good night," and hung up without a second thought. She snuggled back into my arms, ready to go back to sleep. I poked her in the side. "Are you seriously not going? He's drunk. What if something happens to him?" "Don't you dare try to guilt-trip me," she snapped. "Besides, if he's still sober enough to have someone call me, then he's hardly out of it. I may be a hopeless romantic, but I'm not brainless." I patted her head. Yes, you're so smart. Always focused on giving people money instead of headaches." Sophie was sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison, a verdict Grandpa Greg personally informed me about. I couldn't believe it. The novel that had inspired all this drama ended up being utterly wasted. The heroine had been utterly useless in the early chapters, aside from her fighting skills. No wonder Xavier had been so out of sorts lately, making mistakes at work left and right. Without Lily as his golden ticket, Xavier's shine had dulled. Even the most radiant personality can fade in the workplace. At first, he had enthusiastically interviewed a few business elites, but as a rookie without any mentors, his articles barely made a ripple. Meanwhile, after my interview with Grandpa Greg, my sharp and seasoned approach garnered widespread attention. With Grandpa Greg's endorsement, landing future interviews became a breeze. Even Lily had to take a number if she wanted to be featured in one of my exclusives. Her response? "I'll queue up for your interviews, but not for you." The audacity of this woman. A few months later, Xavier quit. On his last day, I happened to have an interview scheduled. By the time I arrived at the office, he had packed up his things. When he saw me, his long dejected face twisted into an odd smile. "Percy, let's see who gets the last laugh," he said cryptically. I dismissed his theatrics and returned to my desk, noticing my computer mouse had been moved. I assumed a colleague had accidentally bumped it and thought nothing of it. 2 days later, a bombshell news story exploded online. Princess exposed for secret marriage. Husband accused of being a freeloader. The article detailed Lily's current marital status, alleging that our marriage was purely contractual. It even dug into my personal history and claimed I had used our marriage as a stepping stone to advance my career. My recent high-profile interviews with industry leaders were cited as damning evidence. The final nail in the coffin was a screenshot of a chat log, where I supposedly wrote, "Since this is just a fake marriage without any financial disputes, let's find time to go to the courthouse and finalize the divorce." The angle of the screenshot revealed that the photo had been taken from my account. I suddenly remembered Xavier's parting words and the displaced mouse on my desk. He must have snooped through my computer. The internet erupted, and just like that, the first major scandal of the year had arrived. My wife marrying someone else was already bad enough, but to think the guy was a schemer? Who in their right mind would enter a contract marriage? Lily and that guy must have had some kind of mutual arrangement. Just look at the interviews he's given, every single one with industry titans. How could he possibly have access to all those resources on his own? The chatter grew louder, and soon hashtags like #PersaNepotism, #LillyAndPercy, and #LillyContractMarriage were trending online. But that wasn't the end of it. Soon, Xavier publicly exposed me online, accusing me of exploiting him during his internship. In his video, his face was grim. At the time, I didn't even know Percy's wife was Lily. During a meeting, he deliberately assigned me to interview Percy, saying I'd be fired if I couldn't get it done. He'd always botch his news articles, but when it came to spreading rumors and gossip, he had a real knack for it. Perhaps it was because most viewers were also working professionals, but his accusations struck a chord. The comment section was filled with sympathy. "Hang in there, Xavier. I've been there too. My boss set impossible targets just to imply I wasn't good enough. Look at his face, he's clearly trouble. A spineless leech riding on others' coattails, get him out of the journalism field. The audacity to even point fingers. Percy himself is just a nepotism case. Journalism's gone to the dogs. Authorities should investigate him." The uproar spiraled out of control. I was forced to step away from my job, and even Lily's company stock took a hit. Furious, Lily cursed and declared, "I'm going to have someone shut down all these posts and send Xavier a cease and desist letter." What nonsense. Even if he dies, we're not getting divorced. Do you trust me? She glared at the mounting comments. Don't handle PR just yet. Let this simmer a bit longer. The bigger the impact, the sweeter the reversal will be. A few days later, I went to the office to pull surveillance footage. Xavier, as an intern, probably didn't realize how seriously we take confidentiality in journalism. Since much of our work involves sensitive business information, we not only have keycard access, but also surveillance cameras. The footage showed him acting suspiciously at my desk on his last day. Not only that, but I gathered records of past transactions Lily had made to him, screenshots of his later messages to her apologizing, trying to reconcile, and even confessing his feelings. He told her he regretted everything and wanted to pursue her again. I compiled all this evidence and uploaded it online on the third day of the scandal, captioning it with, "I reserve the right to pursue legal action against Mr. Xavier for invasion of privacy, baseless defamation, and unpaid debts." Lily, who had been holding back for days, immediately shared the post, adding, "Our marriage is strong." The contract marriage was my way of making a promise to my husband and giving him reassurance. I wanted to tell him that he not only had the right to love me, but also the freedom to leave if he wished. Also, my husband is wonderful. He's a graduate from a prestigious university with a respectable and ambitious career. While his family background might not match mine, he's far better than most people online. He's not just a match for me, he's a match for anyone. What I didn't expect was for Grandpa Greg, who rarely goes online, to create a new account that same day just to share my post. He added, "I didn't know Percy and Miss Lily were married." What made me agree to the interview with Mr. Percy at the time was his integrity and passion for uncovering the truth. That is the core value of journalism. After getting to know him, I was impressed by his sharp insights and unique perspective on the market's future. Talking to him was a pleasure, and I'm heartened to see today's younger generation having such vision. With Grandpa Greg stepping in, other industry heavyweights followed suit, publicly supporting me and dispelling the rumors of nepotism. The public opinion flipped overnight. So, turns out the intern had a crush on someone's wife and spread lies when he couldn't win her over. How shameless. I don't care about anything else. When's this guy paying back the $20,000 he owes? What a deadbeat. I'm heartbroken. Is my wife really just a hopeless romantic? I can't handle this. Xavier's reputation was utterly destroyed. In journalism, truth and accuracy are paramount. After this scandal, Xavier had no chance of re-entering the field. Of course, Lily's hopeless romantic reputation was cemented as well. The day I returned to work, colleagues who had previously gossiped about my wife's supposed infidelity suddenly flocked to me. "Wow, Percy, you're so low-key. We had no idea your wife was Lily. She's my idol. I joined this field hoping to interview her one day. I envy you so much." "Don't envy me," I replied with a smirk. "My wife isn't as perfect as you think. She's always messing around, showering me with affection at random. It's nerve-wracking. I keep wondering if she's done something I don't know about. I can't even enjoy it anymore. Later, I did sue Xavier. The court ordered him to repay the money he owed me and compensate for the damages caused by his defamation. I never saw him again after that. 2 years later, Lily and I held our wedding. At the reception, she drank too much and clung to me, babbling nonsense. I knew right away you were the one for me. Those lips of yours just kept firing words like a machine gun, shooting straight into my heart, especially when you went off on Xavier. I could barely resist the urge to seal your lips and burn 3 sticks of incense for you every day. But no, that wasn't necessary, nor was it appropriate. A few days later, I unexpectedly ran into Xavier. He was holding hands with 3 kids, looking nothing like the refined gentleman he used to be. He was dressed in a shabby manner, and the 3 kids, probably around 1-year-old, were making quite the racket. One of them even had snot running down his face, looking like he had just fallen, his clothes smudged with dirt. Xavier didn't bother cleaning him up. Moments later, a burly woman walked over, moving sluggishly. She snapped, "You can't even take care of the kids properly?" Xavier lost his temper. "Sophie, what's that supposed to mean? Back when we found out it was going to be triplets, I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but you insisted on keeping them. And now look at this. I can't find a job after getting out of prison, and the whole family relies solely on me to earn money. And you have the nerve to criticize me?" If Xavier hadn't called her by name, I might have forgotten that this novel even had a heroine, one I had never met before. Judging by her appearance now, she wasn't much to look at. The Sophie of today seemed far from being healed. Hearing Xavier's words, she started cursing under her breath. "I forced you to marry me? Begged you? If you think I'm not good enough, just say it. Stop going in circles. Back then, you'd shamelessly ask those rich girls for money, and now that they've dumped you, you come throwing tantrums at me. No one's going to indulge you. Sophie, make yourself clear. Who do you think I was borrowing money for?" The argument between the two escalated fiercely, while the 3 kids wailed loudly. Passers-by started glancing over at the scene. Just then, Lily happened to walk by, holding a fish in her hand. "What are you looking at?" she asked casually. "Nothing," I replied. Lily didn't seem to care much. She took my hand and said, "I'll make you some poached fish tonight. This time, it's been perfected with guidance from a master chef. I'm going to show you what leveling up really means." I chuckled, leaned in, and pecked her on the cheek. "What's that about?" she asked, looking at me with curiosity. I shook my head. "It's nothing. I just feel like this right now is pretty great." Lily gave me a puzzled look. I smiled. "I mean, it's great that you've had your awakening and that we're together.